Hi there, this is Danish Kapoor with PMT. In this section, we'll look at the copy previous stock option in ESPRIT EDGE. This is useful in cases where we are doing a part flip or machining in different setups with the same workpiece. We want Edge to automatically recognize cut stock at the end of the last setup and use that in the new setup. This will save us from having to export the stock manually and use that in a new project. And we'll keep everything in the same project with the stock transfer done automatically. So in this project, I have programmed everything on the top side, right? And I want to do a flip of this part and do the machining on the other side. And I don't want to create a new project. So ESPRIT does have the tools to do a setup change. So the first thing we want to do is use this option, add setup. So once we click on that, it opens up the machine setup. So here we can see our fixture and the jaws for that. So if the fixture has changed, so we can remove this fixture and add a new fixture on top of that. In my case, the fixture remains the same. And really what we want to cover here is this copy previous setup. So what it does, it's automatically saves the stock at the end of the previous setup and also brings in the workpiece without having to import that manually again. So once I click on the previous setup option, this gives me the workpiece and the datum for that. So let's open this workpiece and see what we have in there, right? So it's basically copying everything from setup 1. So we want to make some adjustments, some manipulations. Whenever we create a new setup, ESPRIT EDGE automatically adds a new mounting position. So this is the part flip. So if we look at the drop-down menu, we have the second mounting option as WA2. Since this is essentially the same workpiece on a different setup, we want ESPRIT EDGE to regard that as a new workpiece. So that's our workpiece. And just to avoid any confusion, I'll also change the name. And then what we are essentially doing is doing a flip over, right? So we want to rotate our part in the specific axes. In my case, it'll be the y-axis that I'm going to rotate around. So it's going to be 180-degree rotation. So if I apply that, you can see my part has now flipped upside down, right? So, so still, if you see, the datum is being carried over from the last one. What we want to do right now is do the mating, so the part the part sits correctly within the jaws of this fixture, right? So I'll do the alignment mating quickly. Let's go ahead and select the face of this fixture here, and I'll select the bottom face of this stock and then use the alignment mating to make sure they are correctly set up in the Z. Okay, and once I do that, I can save this setup, right? And the next thing I want to do is adjust the position of my datum and also tell it if I'm using a different datum, of course, right? So this is a FANUC based machine. It's the datums are in order of G54, 5 and such. So let's go ahead and edit our datum. I want to use G55 instead of G54, right? So I can select the primary number from the drop down menu. So once you select that, the name changes for that automatically. And the next thing I want to do is also make sure my G55 is located correctly, right? This is the position of my G54. There are two options. I can do this. I can either enter the machine XYZ values directly, or I can use this digitize button to make sure that the Z position is grabbed correctly. So use this digitize button, and I'm gonna grab the face of the stock model here. So once I do that, you can see the position of G55 has shifted. Alright, so that's all I need to do, and hit the OK button and OK button again. So now you can see there are two sequences created, sequence 1 and sequence 2 under the operations tab. And if I look in the programs tab, so there are two setups created, right? So let's go ahead and apply a toolpath or an operation to the setup 2, and let's see how the simulation works on that. So to do that, let's switch to the part view, and this time I want to apply operations to the other side. So let's flip our part over, right? I'm going to apply a simple facing toolpath on top of that, right? So I'm going to select this face, and let's go to the milling section and apply a simple facing operation, right? And that's the face mill I want to use. The rest of the parameters are default. I don't want to change that. Use the previous stock, yes. And strategy, I'm happy with the profit milling. I don't need to change the links and everything. So hit OK. Okay, so this operation has been added to the setup 2, and I believe this is still in sequence 1, so let me drag it over and put it for sequence 2, so everything is read correctly, regarded correctly. Alright, so now I have successfully done the setup change. So let's go ahead and simulate that quickly. I'll simulate from this operation, the last operation from the setup 1. So let's go to simulation, do the step. Alright, and I'll slow down the simulation a little bit so we can kind of follow along with that. So there we have the part off for our first setup. Once the part is off, it's doing the eject. Right now, what it does is it's flipped over, and now we have the facing operation done there. There we go. That's how we can do it. Thank you.